Good day, everyone, and welcome to another webinar from CTC. Today, we are going to perform a recap of a webinar series that we put on called Cleaning Your Project with CTC Express Tools. Today's webinar is an overview or a summarization of the previous 5-part series that you can find on our YouTube channel, CTC Software on YouTube. And there are 5 videos that are part of that series. And so today, I will be going over all of the tools covered in that 5-part series and trying to give you guys an idea of what was covered to an extent and not as great of detail, but at least kind of give you guys an idea of what we have available for doing something like this. So, so today, what we're going to do is I'm just going to highlight as much as I possibly can in the next 45-ish minutes. So, when it comes to cleaning or maintaining company standards inside of your Revit projects at your office, it can, distributing those changes or maintaining those models can be extremely disruptive to the teams, depending on what the changes are or what the standards need to be. If you're still very early on in the implementation and developmental stages of your company standards and your starter projects / templates, pushing those changes to any projects that have already started can be very unfortunate for your teams, depending on what they're. Yes, obviously they will help in the long run, but it can also, force them to be not as productive during those times. And it can be extremely time consuming to do on a regular basis, especially if you're constantly finding issues that need to be repaired or standards that aren't being followed and trying to re-implement said standards. So instead of making it so that the changes and fixes being applied are as disruptive, we have and as time consuming, we have a series of tools within the CTC product line that will help you be less intrusive and allow your projects to be healthier, happier, and ultimately let your teams be more productive, and let you as BIM managers be more productive as well. Or even if you're just a standard Revit user, these will help with just your day-to-day work as well. So most of, again, highlighting things, the issues are that maintaining or administering your company standards from your process guides can be difficult to deploy or to put into motion, especially midway through a project. A lot of the changes are potentially very simple to put together, or simple in nature, right? But they're hard to, or time-consuming, tedious, annoying to configure because oftentimes it's a repetitive process. When it comes to enforcement, there's not a lot out there, and especially not a lot from Revit, right? They're all some type of add-on or scripting that you've developed. Maybe it was in Dynamo, or maybe you're spending a ton of money to get some other add-ons, a whole slew of add-ons to do one task each, right? Instead of maybe 1 or 2 add-ons that does everything. And as far as tracking this information or capturing the data, there's definitely not a lot out there that does that. So I'll try to hit on all of that today. So these are the products that we covered in our previous 5 webinars. And these are from all of our suites of tools. So, we kind of, it's kind of been broken down into 2 areas. The first area is data capture and recovery, right? Let's extract as much information from these files as we possibly can. And then what do I do with that? I need to then review the information and fix or implement changes after the fact. So that's the second part. So for the first part, the data capture, we can use the tools Model Compare from the project suite or Project Snapshot from the BIM data suite. Both of those allow us to take effectively a snapshot of a particular Revit file at any given moment in time and review that information. And if we take multiple snapshots of the same file, then we can compare the data at different times in the project cycle to see what's changed over the course of the last week, 2 weeks, month, 2 months, whatever the case. Another tool that we can find inside of our data suite or inside of our Hive content management system is Project Activity Logger. It's the second one listed here, and that is the tool that tracks day-to-day Revit usage. So things like sync essential times, how many warnings are in the files, and then some family counts, unused families, in-place families, how many system families are being used, text styles created versus used, dim styles created versus used. A lot of more high-level overview type information about a Revit file. A lot of things that we would look into as far as health check type stuff. What kind of design options do we have? What kind of phasing do we have? What kind of linked models do we have? How many users are in the file? What versions of Revit do they have? What add-ons do they currently have installed? So there's a lot of different things that we can get just from people opening a central file and saving it. So Project Activity Logger, or PAL, as we like to call it for short, will give you a lot of that kind of information. And those are kind of data capture tools. Everything else listed is what we can use to clean things up or to fix issues that we have found during, or things that are concerning that we've found during our data capture. Import Link Manager, Dimension Checker, Schedule Parameter Resolver, Type Swapper, and Project Cleaner are all from the BIM Manager suite, and they allow you to manage the links and reload files, pin them, make sure they're on the right work sets for a particular Revit file. Dimension Checker checks dimensions and makes sure that people aren't faking it, or if the rounding is off too much, or if text has been replaced for the actual dimension value. Schedule Parameter Resolver cleans up our schedules. If we ever have a parameter that isn't doing anything, we can use this tool to help fix that. Type Swapper swaps types, text, dimensions, materials, patterns, lines. So we can get things cleaned up that way. Project Cleaner, think super purge, right? That's deletes a lot of stuff. Good for preparing models for distribution or archiving, or if you received a model and it's got a bunch in it you don't need to, before you link it in, use this to clean it up. Spreadsheet Link, Revision Manager, and View Creator are from the project, our BIM project suite. And Spreadsheet Link, for those of you that don't know, massive data manipulation tool. So if you find that incorrect data is being used, you can clean it up using Spreadsheet Link. It also helps you standardize sheet numbering and naming conventions or quickly populate room data. So we got some, I mean, the uses for Spreadsheet Link are kind of endless. Revision Manager helps you quickly consolidate and clean up revisions, and maybe you've got floating items out there, or revisions on the wrong sheets for whatever reason, and it's just a good way to go ahead and clean up a bunch of stuff at the end stages of a project. And View Creator is here to assist us with creating views in our project, and whether it's a standard setup that you're trying to invoke, or if it's just there to help you out with model coordination. So, and I'll try to talk about that a little bit more going on. And then Project Processor is from our batch suite, BIM batch suite. And this tool effectively does a lot of all of the other ones, link management, data, deletions or swapping of information all at once. So it does a whole gob of things all at the same time. So with that all being said, I kind of just barked at y'all quite a bit here. I'm just gonna start getting into this whole thing. So what we're gonna try to cover today is I'm gonna focus most of my efforts today on capturing and reviewing the data, right? That's what most of this is gonna be, because that's, we've all got a ton of tools likely, or processes that we've already developed potentially that help us maintain and clean up this stuff. What's more not as popular or not as common is what we can do to retrieve this information. So we're going to spend most of our time on that, and then how we can create some repeatable processes and make some settings files to push out to other things. So and then how this, probably real quick, how some of these cleanup tools work. So with that all being said, let me catch my breath. Away we go. So I've got a couple of different things I want to show. The first thing is the snapshots, or the model compare tools. So we have part of our data suite is the snapshot, and this is almost to the T exactly like model compare. So I'm just going to show this interface because it's almost the same. And the part that's almost this, that's the same, is what are we capturing? So this part right here, the filters, this is all of the data that that can be grabbed, right? So we have the ability to take full-blown snapshots of the Revit files. And when I say full-blown, I mean everything. Whether that information about the categories, the subcategories, the coordinates of the detail lines in your drafting view, right? The invisible parameters that you have maybe configured that store data but your base users don't know about, or the invisible parameters that a manufacturer has put into their content that you had no clue was even there, right? So we can extract just about everything. If you can think of it, chances are we can get some data on it with this tool. Now, you may not need that much, right? You may just be looking for health check type stuff, or trying to make sure that if the file size balloons over the course of a week, why is it ballooning, right? Is it because we have a bunch of CAD files that have been imported and exploded? Or did someone render a bunch of image files and keep them in the project? Do we have a ton of warnings now? Like, what's going on? So while we have given you the ability to do that for everything, and again, everything, you may not need that all the time. So you can create your own filters or own settings of filters, or use what is available. So you have, so I'm just gonna go quick and load up the health check stuff. And the health check parameters are the ones that it'll run a little bit quicker for you. Again, we do have full snapshot filters if you need those. Or again, make your own. If it's structural specific, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, or all three, set your own specific snapshot settings up so that you can optimize the reports that you're getting for your needs. So in this case, we're only looking for certain pieces of information. We could even break it down a little bit further and say only search on certain levels or certain phases or even certain views, or even only in the primary design option if you've got, 15 different design options going on. You may not need to search for everything in those options. So you do have the ability to parse this down even further than what our health check options are. And again, I highly encourage you guys to create your own setup files and not always take full-blown snapshots. There are full-blown snapshots can be very time-consuming depending on the size of your Revit files. And it's very likely that it's going to be full of data that you're not going to really care about. So why take up space for data you don't care about, other than sheer curiosity, in which case maybe someday you'll get there. Obviously, the less you're trying to report on, the faster it's going to be. So the health check ones go pretty quick. So you pick everything you want, you hit OK, right? Or you load up your settings files, you hit OK. You pick the server. So the data suite specifically can either create a file, XML, JSON, or our model compare file that you can then load up into another reporting tool for your review, right? You can set up your own kind of customized reporting features. We, as part of the data suite, we have provided you guys stuff to set up for a SQL Server setup, and then in turn review within Power BI. So our documentation provides explanations on how to set all of that up. So, this would be my server. You test it out, it locks in, it's good to go. And then I would hit begin, and it would extract all the information that's necessary and report that. And I actually probably still have one. Oh no, it finished. I had another one going earlier when this all started, and it's since finished since we've been on here. So you'd get a message like this and letting you know, hey, it's complete, check everything out. Then you get this one that lets you know it's finished writing to the server. And the SQL server is behind the firewall. It's your data. You guys manage it. It's very highly recommended that you have someone that is familiar with SQL databases and knows how to work in a SQL environment. In case you wanted to customize any of that further, or if you run into trouble with it, they can help you with that. We are not SQL DB admins, so you want to make sure that if you are going to go this route, that you have someone that can help you if things don't go well. Okay, so I am not going to hit begin on any of these because I did that earlier. But what I am going to do is show you some of the reports. Did I not open SQL? Oh, no, there it is. Here it comes. So in SQL, it's going to record all of this good stuff, right? So we have snapshots. And again, this is all very, it's very, very detailed, and it can be extremely hard to decipher what you're even looking at. I don't spend any of my time in here. The only reason why I'm doing this is to show you what you end up getting. So you get a bunch of data that looks like this, a bunch of grid numbers, but then you can see it's got categories and elements and information about those guys, and parameters and parameter values, and I mean, you name it, you're getting it. So, but this is just the collection zone, right? That's all this is. It's collecting all of your data. All of your data gets reviewed inside, if I could spell, inside of Power BI. This is also something that we provide to you guys, and we give you a template with the information. So if I open my report and which is, oh, this is my panel. Sorry. Well, you know what? That's good enough because I'm stepping into this next. You open the data, and in the data, you can see information about the projects and bits and pieces on down the road. And we provided this. It's very, this is, consider it your template. You can review the data here. You can also customize and add new charts and set up your own visualizations to review the data the way you want to see it. It's not, we don't give you this Power BI file and call it and say this is all you get. Customize this. If you have anybody that's familiar with Power BI in your office, tell them what you're looking for, and they can help you get it linked up and configured so that you can actually get a handle on the information that's being extracted. Okay. So this is how this is the gist of it, right? Now, another tool that kind of plays into this a little bit is called Project Activity Logger, or PAL. This tool grabs is a service that gets installed on your Revit workstations, and it runs when Revit runs, right? No one has to do anything once it's installed, and it tracks information only when Revit's running and when central file projects are being used. And depending on which PAL version you have different places to look at the data. So if you have the PAL that came with Data Suite, would give you a Power BI file, or you can review it in SQL. You can review the data that way. But we give you a Power BI file like this, where you can go ahead and check out, project info, warnings, views, things of that nature. Let's see. Right. And, again, customize it, get it set up the way you want so that you have information that is meaningful to you. There's the other version that comes with Hive, and that's the Hive PAL, and that is what you see on we have a portal, a web portal for this that you can use to review all of the information. We also supply a Power BI file for that as well, if you would rather go that route, and I will show you that BI file as well. But so here we can set up our projects and review various pieces of information. What are our largest Revit files? What's coming up on the deadlines? Who are our primary Revit users? What are our sync to central times looking like? Then we have, again, more project information based off files that are being used, what projects are currently going on. And then we can get more detailed. I've got a bunch of CAD links that are not loaded. That's a flag. I should go back and fix those. I've got unplaced families. I've got in-place families. I hate in-place families. It's just a personal gripe of mine. Let's go fix that, right? We got a whole bunch of stuff. Room data, So, and we can keep dialing it down, and we have more coming. So don't be alarmed. It's not broken. It's just not there yet. Warnings by project and by a Revit file, and elements that are showing duplicates. We can go ahead and correct that. And this tells you exactly what file to look at. The other, where is it? Here it is. The other file. Again, same thing, but this is coming from Hive. So instead of looking at it on the web, there's a BI file that you can download from the website. And again, customize it a little bit to tailor it to the needs of your company. So you have options at your disposal. And let's see. So that's the data recovery or capture and review process, right? We have model compare and snapshot, almost the same thing, same end result where you get data files to review. Project snapshot in project activity logger are in the data suite. Model compare is in the project suite, and the PAL is in data suite or in Hive, your choice. Ultimately, it's, in my opinion, it's really awesome to be able to view it inside of Power BI. And if you're familiar with it, it's great for you can manipulate it as much as you need to. All right. So the next thing, well, I suppose since I'm transitioning to a different piece here, I'll answer the one question that we've got. So the question is, will this work with Revit files and BIM 360? To an extent, these tools will. So the project activity logger part, yes, absolutely, because that is explicitly tracking everything that is opened on our Revit workstation. So you can set your projects up to work, or you can create a project specifically, looking for a BIM 360 job that you have, and it will record that data for you. Absolutely. When it comes to the snapshots, yes, if you have the files already open. So, if I go back to here, if you open the file, take a snapshot, yes, it'll work. Where we have an issue is if you tried to schedule this. Is one thing I did not mention, is you can schedule the snapshots to happen overnight. So it's not zapping a computer's resources in the middle of prime production hours. We have a scheduling option where you can build something to run on a Saturday at 11 p.m. or 3 a.m. Every week. It can be a reoccurring deal, but that part will not work with BIM 360. Everything else does with what I've covered so far, but the scheduling part will not. So we are working on that. We are in the process of developing an interface to be able to read projects on BIM 360 and physically access them, so that we can do some scheduling like this and run tasks at any given moment. So thank you for that. Now, so now that I've got the data, I've had a chance to review the data, there's a few things that I need to deal with. The first thing that I noticed was there was some bad links in there, right? And those bad links, come on, they're going to show up here in a second. And it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It must be, there's a, I should have picked a smaller file. There's a lot of bad links in here. So it's coming. All right, maybe it's not. So let's try. Let's do this. All right, let's try this one. Hopefully this one. Yeah, this one doesn't have as many links. There we go. So now what we get out of this is the ability to review items that are in the model and where they are in the model. And I can review everything all at once, or just Revit links, or just CAD files. So, you know, I've noticed, okay, so nothing's showing up on the CAD links page. That's a bit of a problem. So how are we going to address that? So likely that's all on an imports tab. Now, I've also, so I personally, again, I'm not a big fan of imported data. If you need it, link it. And what even gets me more is the fact that I've got duplicates here, right? I've got the same file imported in 3 times. Now, again, me personally, we need to get that cleaned up. If it's because we've got, you know, details, or, you know, the CAD file has multiple details on it, we need to get that cleaned up. That's fine. You know, it needs to be in certain areas for a period of time, but we ultimately need to Revitize that and get it out of here, because we just need to resolve that. So I will do that now. So there's 2 parts to this. One, we can use this and just flat remove things, right? Now, if we can see what the views are, well, these are just replicated in the same view even. So right out of the gate, I'm getting rid of those, and I'm gonna get rid of one of the other ones. I don't want, I should have gone ahead and made sure that, oh, no, that worked, okay. I'm gonna make sure that, you know, I don't need the same information replicated in the same view, right? And then in an event that things inadvertently are selected and removed or moved, things should be pinned in place, right? So whether it's me physically trying to pin them here, or going to the view itself and pinning it, it's up to you. So here I've pinned this one, I'm gonna pin that one, and I'm gonna disregard the message again. I don't know what's blowing up there. I should probably deal with that too, but at the very least, now I can verify some stuff here. Now, on the links part, specifically with the Revit files, I can make sure that certain things are coming into the right work set also. That's also a big thing for me. Things need to be on the right work set, right? So we've got the, which one is this? This is the ARC1, this is the mechanical plumbing file on the existing structural work set. That's not cool. So we're gonna fix that, and I'm gonna put that on my MEP link or work set, and hope that silly message doesn't bother me too bad. It doesn't. Good. Now I've already cleaned up a couple of things regarding my linked files. Moving on, right? So this is, for me, huge as a BIM manager / BIM coordinator / you know, lover of Revit. I want to see things go well. So for me, this makes things a lot easier moving forward when it comes to managing and maintaining expectations inside of Revit. So now I would take this, made some big changes. I should probably save the file, and I would do so. Sync, moving on, right? Oh, and this one now finally refreshed itself. Same thing. This one's got lots of imports though. Again, I'm not a big fan of imports. What do we got? So lots of duplicates. Lots of random DWG number 1 kind of thing. Like this is the kind of stuff that drives me berserk. We need to get resolved ASAP. So I would yell at the project teams and tell them to get after it today, so that we can resolve some of the issues here. So I'm just gonna flat up do that and hope I don't break anything. Come on, there it goes. All right. It's going. Anyway, while it's pretending to not fail on me, I want to talk about a couple of other things while that's processing before we move on to the next thing. So another tool that I want to quickly go over. I know I don't want to keep everybody the entire day, but another thing that I want to mention is another good use for some of this stuff is to take snapshots of potentially, to an extent, right, of models that you receive from your consultants. So say you're an engineering firm and you're receiving these massive architectural models, right? Not wanting to, we don't care about everything that's going on in their file, but we care about some certain things. Things like, positioning, or what elements, wall-wise, where things are coming into place, where they think certain rooms are going to be, are things moving around back and forth. So what we can do is take snapshots of their models, of the architectural model that we've received, say every week or maybe every 2 weeks, and run a comparison on that data to see where things have changed. Right now in BIM 360, it kind of does that for you too. But if your projects are not in BIM 360, you need a solution for that. So the snapshot and model compare tool allow you to do that, check for things that are different, and then helps you then in turn update your files. Or you'll notice that maybe there's a ton of stuff in those files that you don't care to have, as far as purgeable families, all the views and sheets that are potentially there that you don't really need. Some of it's useful, obviously, especially if you have to link up certain views in the background that show certain pieces of information for you, but we don't need all of it, right? So let's, hey, it did it, good. So let's just say, here's my architectural model. I don't need everything in it. But I also don't want to link in a 350 meg Revit model into my 50 meg structural file, or into my 60 meg plumbing model, right? And have this big bloated gargantuan thing slowing me down or slowing my team down. So let's clean it up. We don't need everything, right? So we can open their product, their tools, or their file up, the project, that's what I was trying to say, and run Project Cleaner. And this is a freebie from the Manager Suite. And this tool will allow me to delete views, sheets, content, links, you name it, whatever. If there, well, not you name it, but there's a handful of really good items in there that we can blow away to lighten the load on the file that we ultimately need to link in. And then I guess on the flip side, if you're the architect and you're going to send this file to someone, you don't necessarily want to give them everything either, right? There may be some certain information that you want to not give out, like maybe your title block that you're using in your projects has some pertinent to registration information in there. Let's get rid of those, right? They don't need it. You know, you can email them a separate title block family to use. They don't need the one that you guys are using for your documentation sets. So get rid of it. Why does it keep doing that? So here we go. So I've got views, view templates, filters, sheets, links, imports, and images that I can go ahead and clear out of here before we even link this into a file or post this up to the cloud or to our FTP, or before we distribute it to our clients, or I mean consultants. So let's go. So I've got all of these views, all broken down by view type. What do they need? They need maybe a 3D view, maybe the primary floor plan views, and then that about it, right? Maybe a couple elevations in case they have to open it for another reason. They don't need all of this. So certainly not our massing views or presentation views or our casework sections, right? Like there's or none of our working sections, right? We could probably have a field day with this and get rid of the finished plans and color schemes. So I'm gonna do just that. Get rid of, they don't necessarily need our drafting views. So none of the life safety. Likely don't need most of our ceiling plans. Certainly not all of those. So I'm gonna get rid of a bunch here, and definitely don't need all of this. So I'm just gonna get rid of everything except for that one. So very helpful to be able to go through views and schedules. They don't need schedules, and the legends probably don't need our legends either. So, oops, I don't want to remove yet. View templates, same thing. It's just taking up space. They don't need them. We don't need them on a link model. Extra filters, not needed. Sheets, not needed. So, and we can just keep going, right? So imports, don't need them. Images, certainly don't need the images. This is gonna purge off a lot of stuff, lighten the load immensely, right? I mean, we're getting rid of almost 900 things with one tool. So great way to go ahead, clean things up, and make life on your consultants easier if you're sending this to them, make life on the project team if they are to link this in, right? I mean, if we can save 100 megs, 50 megs on the file size, I mean, that's huge. That makes refreshing the model views or the sheet views and printing, it makes everything go quicker. The less information that Revit has to regenerate, the faster the models are going to perform. The faster, I mean, if we can, even if it's only 5 minutes a day, right? And you've got 100 people at your firm, right? If you can save everyone 5 minutes a day because they don't have to reload links as much, I mean, that's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars every year just by doing some light cleanup on a file, right? So that's fine, purge that family. So again, we're at the 45. I've been talking quite a bit. I do want to give time for questions. I don't want to keep everyone here terribly late. So if you have questions, please ask them in our questions chat thing, and I will answer them as much as I possibly can. Again, I do want to point out this is just our consolidated view or presentation. If you want more information about any of the tools that were mentioned at the beginning, please go to our YouTube channel and check out parts 1 through 5 about all of this. Part 1 covered a lot of what I discussed today regarding the snapshot and data capturing. But part 2 through 5 go over the various individual tools and how they work and what types of use you can use those for on your projects and in your company. So yeah, certainly. Let me, I'll do this for you. We had, sorry, I'm talking and you didn't even know the question. Someone asked if we could get a quick demo of the schedule parameter resolver. Yes, yes. Let me open up an appropriate file for that. That will go a little bit quicker. And yes, I will do a quick demo of that. So let's do this to save some resources. Let's just blow this guy out. And oh, cool, we're done. Nah, I'm not gonna worry about saving, just get rid of it. So yes, we'll do that real quick. And if anybody else has any questions, chime in while we're getting prepped for this one. All right, so so I got this fun little Revit model here that we're gonna go ahead and get prepped up for us. And so with schedule, with many projects potentially, especially with if standards change midway through a project, or if you're still trying to implement standards early in the earlier stages of the Revit implementation at your company, there may be times when schedules don't always represent the data as accurately as you would think, right? So in this case, I've got a door schedule. We've got one setup that's populating everything correctly, right? But then, and I know that it would work because I set it up. But then now I've got all these other schedules in here for whatever reason, likely because this one schedule is too big to fit on one sheet. So now we're going to break it up by floor plan. That's cool. Now I've noticed that half the stuff in here isn't working anymore, right? Well, why not? Chances are it's because they're using the wrong parameter. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 schedules that are probably all wrong here. Yes. 5. How do we fix that? So there's the normal, natural way to fix this would be to go to the properties of said schedule and look at the parameters used versus the parameters available. And we know here that the door panel material, door material here is what's currently being used. Well, I know right out of the gate that that's wrong. I need to look for panel material. Well, I've got 2. So now if I try to insert this one, okay, that was the right one, great. But now it broke my schedule. And now I got to go back and ungroup everything to regroup everything just because I need to fix the header. Now, again, I could always delete the schedule and reduplicate everything too and update header and whatever, right? Like there are ways to fix it. And we know that. But we can also use our schedule parameter resolver quick to fix that. So all you need to do is make sure that your parameter file, your shared parameter file is mapped, right? The parameters that you intend to have used. Pick the schedules that are broken. In this case, I'll just do the one and grab the right materials. So door material needs to be panel material, right? We know that. So I'm going to pull panel material from my parameters file. Door finish needs to be panel finish, right? Like we know this. So I can hit OK. And again, I could do all of the schedules here at the same time. I just don't want it to zap up more time than is needed. So I'm just going to do the one schedule. Great. Hit OK. Oh, close. And go back to that schedule. There it goes. It replaced those columns for me, and it maintained the grouping in the headers. So now I don't have to go back and I don't have to do anything, right? Maintain the formatting and the groups, and now we're good. And the schedules are just right. So, and yes, you can do that in batch. So if if I wanted to repair all 5 of these at the same time, I can use that and repair all 5 at the same time. Again, I just wanted you to see the end results. So there you have it. We're in good shape. So what I could have, we could have done in a, if probably maybe took an hour. I just did in 30 seconds, right? And I could have done in maybe 45, 60 seconds really to do all of the schedule at the same time. So it's a pretty good time saver right there. Something that you don't need to, it's just a good tool and it's easy. So I hope that answers it for you. And it's a really quick raw demo, but if you want more detailed information on scheduled parameter resolver specifically, again, on our YouTube channel, we have a couple of videos there that really dig in to that tool specifically. And because I'm sure you're gonna have more questions. So all right. I'm not seeing any other questions coming up in the list. Real quick, for those of you that don't have some of our tools, I do suggest taking a peek at them. If you go to our website, ctcsoftware.com, and go to our products, they're all here. Our BIM Project Suite, BIM Manager Suite, BIM Data Suite, and BIM Bash Suite, and Hive. Check them out. If you haven't used any of our tools before, you can get a 14-day trial that will grant you access to all of the tools. And then each suite also has a patch of some free tools that work forever. Those will be the lighter colors. The darker shade of each color, those are the paid ones, the licensed tools. They're good for 14 days. Give it a shot. And then if you have questions, reach out to your ATG rep, or feel free to reach out to us, and we will get those questions answered for you. So, and also go to our YouTube channel and check out anything that you want there. I'm not even gonna do that. I've got too much. My son's stuff is up there. Go to YouTube, search CTC software, and check out, or ATG USA. They've got a bunch of videos up there too on stuff like this. We've got a bunch of the introduction stuff. They've got a bunch of the workflow stuff. So if you need anything, we've got tons of videos up there for you guys to check out. So I'm gonna let you guys go. We've got 5 minutes left of lunch. So eat quick. And if anyone has any questions, ask. I'll be on for a couple more minutes. Otherwise, I thank you for joining me today. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.